So, well, good morning, everybody. Good to be here again. I'm going to talk about the vital signs of your business and how to expand your business, understanding numbers. You really have to understand your numbers and cost of goods. What I have found over the years is that business owners, there's a cycle of trust, I guess, a cycle of buying. The business owner has to first know you. You have to make a connection with them. Maybe it's an in-person, maybe it's an email, then you follow up with an in-person visit. Sometimes it's maybe how we dress, how we act. Are we professional? Are we low-level begging to get a sale? Are we in there actually looking for a way to help them grow their business? Because I got a tip. I do not sell advertising. I sell customers. That is my mindset. I am selling customers. I'm not selling advertising. Advertising is an expense. Customers are an investment, are they not? Mm-hmm. So kind of have that mindset. But I find if they know you and like you, and it doesn't have to be, oh, he's such a great guy, I love Jim when he comes and talks to us. I don't really try to buddy up with my customers. I try to serve my customers, and I get to know them. And some I have a personal relationship with. Others I don't. I'm not a professional visitor. I don't go see my customers and loiter around and ask them all sorts of questions and see how they're all doing. And everybody's a little bit different. I know there's some people that is their MO to build relationships. I went out with an area publisher one time to do some sales training. New person, walked out in the field with him. He wanted to buy something from every person we went to made a sales call on. I mean, and I was just sat there back and watched. I'm like going, he goes, oh, I'd like to try one of those muffins. Oh, by the way, we have this magazine. And I thought it was just, we had a bakery in the morning. Oh, it must have been an oddity. No, because he wanted to buy the candle shop, and then he wanted to look at some shoes. And I mean, that was his angle. And it was so foreign to me. I'm like, what are you doing? But this is kind of where the guy was, and then maybe no one ever taught him. Look, you don't have to buy something from someone. You are a vendor. You are providing a service to their business. They will either like you or not like you, have an interest in your product or not have an interest in your product. Get over it, move on. You don't have to buy from them. Maybe as they become your customer, it's good to support those kind of people. They like to see that. But what I'm getting at is that if they know you and they like you, they can start to trust you. It's like a know, like, trust. And then once they trust you, then they tend to buy. And then it repeats, and then they refer. Then those people know you, like you, trust you. They try you, they buy you, they repeat, and they refer. And it's a cycle. So it's know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. And I have found many of my clients, especially if I bought a zone that was already owned by another area publisher, which I have. I'm the founder of the company, but I bought zones that were owned by other area publishers, and I walked in, and most of the time, they were not in the kind of shape I would have liked to have seen them in. So guess what I had to do? Instead of whine and bark and moan, oh my, what I end up doing is I just decided I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to set the standard for my business in this area. I'm going to serve the people. I'm going to have an incredible, strong events calendar that is a local resource. I'm going to work my tail off to try to earn some relationships. And what I found is many of the customers that I would call on were not ready to do business with me that first issue. It's just how it is. They just weren't. But you know what? They saw something different from me than the previous area publisher. That's the key. And what I do is I heard years ago that if you have a situation where you are calling on a business owner, years ago I found that if you call on a business owner, it takes sometimes 4 or 5, 6 impressions of that business owner before they buy. Well, you tell me, are each of those a brick in the trust wall? That's really what they are. And I don't just call on the same person with the same pitch every single time. Hi, advertising, want to be in? I try to bring them something of value to their business. Maybe I saw an article on the florist industry. And I'm going to call on a florist. Maybe I saw, maybe I got some information. Maybe I saw a couple ads that came out of somebody else's magazine that had to do with I'll give you a classic example. There's a really cool cover on one of the magazines, Asheboro, North Carolina, and I've never seen an area publisher do this. It was a cover, and it had like a little rope that went around the outside of the whole magazine, and it was for a Western store. I'm like, how cool is that? Just kind of, they put a little like a rope graphic around the whole thing. It really looked neat. Well, guess what I did? I went into my little outfitter guy that I have. He runs maybe 1 or 2 ads a year. And I looked at him. Here's a guy running a little 6-page ad with me, sometimes a 3rd, but most of the time a 6th. And I show him the front cover of Asheboro, North Carolina, a like-kind business like his. And he's like, how much is that front cover? Dude's buying a 6-page ad, now he wants to buy the front cover. Why? Because I showed him a like-kind business, and that's kind of what his could look like. That's the power of getting these sample copies. I hope you don't just get your sample copies and kind of go, oh yeah, this guy did a big book, this guy did a thin book, and move on. Take some time. Try to look through them. Try to identify a couple key businesses that you might be able to use out of those magazines to take around to your area. So let's talk about your vital signs. I have a sheet that's available at htvtraining.com. It's called HTV Vital Signs. And I'm going to talk today primarily about a 15,000 mailing zone. And it's a little sheet that pretty much kind of looks like this. It's right in front of you. It should be at the convention here. And it says HTV Training Vital Signs. And let's go about this. It says to help you elevate your business, create a folder that is easy to update when you answer the following questions each month. Over time, these will start to become second nature to you. Basically, what I'm asking you to do is answer these questions 1 through 9, and the results will speak to you. They're going to give you insight on what you can do in your business. And I'll give you an example. Number 1 says, how many total paid clients did you have this issue? Sometimes I'll call you up as a new AP. I'm not your boss. I'm not your mother. I'm just trying to mentor you. I needed a mentor when I was getting going, and I'm going to challenge you with some questions. How many total paid clients do you have? I don't care about the trade ads. Don't give me those. If you have 32 advertisers in your magazine and there's 26 are paid, tell me there's 26. That's what we're looking for, is hard numbers. So how many paid customers did you have in this issue? Don't count trade ads. And if you sold someone a 1 6-page ad and then buy a 6-page ad, have you ever looked at by the way, have you ever looked at the rate card? If you tell somebody to buy a 1/6 of a page ad for $395, which is the one-time price, and you gave them a 6-page ad free next to it, so they're running 2 6-page ads next to each other. If I charge you $395 for one ad, and I give you the other one for free, how much money have I just given them? $395, right? I gave them a free ad. It's a BOGO. Buy a 6-page, get a 6-page. It doesn't work if I buy a 6-page at the 4-time rate of $296, get one free. That dog don't hunt, okay? But if I can sell a 1/6 of a page ad at the one-time rate of $395 and give them a second one for free, that's kind of a cool thing. What I'm getting at is this. I have run into businesses that wanted to be in my magazine but told me they couldn't afford even a 1/6 of a page ad, even at the $296 4-time price, even if I offered to them for one time. So what I did is this. I said, I'll make you a deal. If you buy a 1/6 of a page ad at $395, whoa, you just added $100 to my bill. I did. I'll give you a second one for free. You go find the other merchant and you guys can split the price. So I basically sell someone a 6-page ad for $395, let them go call up one of their friends or neighbors who's a business owner, sell them that ad, go in with them, and they split the cost. Then I add a 40, but they have to come in for 2 consecutive issues, and they get the buy one $395, get one free, so they're each paying $200, right? $197.50 to be exact. The first issue, I add a $49 graphic design fee to build this guy's ad, a $49 graphic design fee to build this ad, rebuilt my margin right back up, but they have to do it for 2 consecutive issues. It's a great way. That means I've got my customers who want to be in, who are small little businesses, going out selling ads for me. So, kind of an interesting concept. But let's talk about this. Number 1 is how many paid clients do you have? And if you'll see the suggested targets, if you're doing a 16-page magazine, the suggested target would be 40. The goal is to have 40 merchants in your magazine on a 16-page magazine. If you're doing a 12-page magazine, 30 would be a good flow. Greg is going to be talking today about how to increase profitability in a 12-page magazine. I said there's nothing wrong with having a 12-page magazine, but what would happen if you had a 12-page magazine that you're normally doing 30 advertisers and all of a sudden you put 40 in there? Do you think your profitability just exploded? You sold a lot more small fractional space ads. He'll talk more about that later, but that's a very interesting concept. So number 2 says, what is your total revenue per book? Well, I suggest that if you're doing a 15,000 zone, you should try to target $15,000 minimum as your revenue goal. Of course, if you can get to 16, 17, 18,000, That's fantastic. David and I were talking at dinner last night. He says, Jim, I like everything here, but I think that the $750 front cover showcase is priced too low. I thought, interesting. So he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a package together where they buy the front cover and they get a half-page inside front cover, and the thing's going to be $2,500 or $2,700. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty ambitious. But he says it's a starting point. Guess what? Some of those people have trade. Maybe he does it instead of $2,700, he does it for $2,000 and $700 in trade. Well, boy, talk about accelerating. He almost covers his postage costs with his front cover and a half-page inside front cover package deal. So, it's just thinking outside the box to grow your revenue. But my thought is this. If you are building this business properly, you want to shoot for a goal of around $1,200 a page. That's what you try to shoot as a goal. Now, when I shoot for a goal, I typically don't hit it, but what do? I fall right below to maybe $1,100 a page. What does a book look like, a 16-page book with $1,100 a page? $16,000, $17,000 in revenue? It's pretty good, okay? If you're at $1,000 in revenue, obviously that's kind of where I got the figure. If you took a 16-page book, let's pretend you didn't make any money in your front cover at all, and you had 15 more pages and you did $1,000 in revenue per page, that's $15,000 in total revenue. That's kind of where I got that figure from. So if you take $15,000 in total revenue minus your cost of goods, it leaves about a $6,500 profit, I think it is, something like that. So number 3 on the vital signs is this. What is your restaurant count? We will tell you that the number 1 redemption category in direct mail advertising is restaurants. That's what people want. They're not always easy to get, but that's what people want. So how can we find creative ways to build our food count? And what I typically try to do in my magazines is I try to put my restaurants on my right-hand pages, restaurant, restaurant, and I put something in between that's a retail type of a business. I try to go, restaurant, restaurant. On my right-hand pages, here's a big honking restaurant, little tiny restaurant. 6-page ads work great in restaurants if they give a good offer. Notice how this thing just screams half off dinner. Notice I didn't put a little postage stamp size coupon down there. Use the whole stupid 6-page ad as your offer. You don't have to have an actual little coupon in a 6-page ad. Let the whole stupid dotted line go around the outside and scream half-price dinner right there, right out. So the smaller ad you go, the more you have to make a quick impact. But so restaurant count, I will tell you, in the perfect world, 10. 10 or more is incredible. I will tell you that Mark and Renee James one time, I think still hold the Hometown Values record. I think they had 17. Was it? It was insane.
Huh? It was North Everett.
Was it?
It was North Everett.
Wow.
And it was incredible. It was incredible. They had basically 17 restaurants. Okay? Guess what? I have failed. There's times where I have 5. And I feel like it's a failure because I got 1 pizza, 2 Mexican, maybe a Chinese, and a sandwich shop or something like that. It's content, content, content is king. So I focus every issue trying to go after some restaurants, either that are in Valpak or Money Mailer or Super Coops or some other direct mail product that they're advertising there, and I'm going to try to get them in my book. Because one thing that's very unique about our magazine is we have the ability to sell an ad and comp another ad. I can sell an ad cheaper than Valpak can on a 3rd-page ad, so I'm competitive there, but I can add value and sell a guy a $150 header ad, and if I need to close the sale, and if I have room on my front cover, I could also do a cover logo. So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of opportunities to help grow your food count. You have an endless amount of opportunities to grow your food count if you will focus on adding value in your book. One of my problems is I tend to run out of header ads. And if you guys take cross sales from me, you're like, oh, great, Jim's got a cross sale, but he always has a header ad with it. Sorry, I practice what I preach. I sell lots of them, and I close people on them. So, but a couple tips on restaurants. One AP recently said to me, Jim, I'm thinking about creating a different restaurant rate card, a lower priced rate card. I suggested I wouldn't. Use your current rate card and just do a little bit of barter. Now, personally, I try to look at my do we all have cost of goods? Absolutely. Do we all have a mortgage to pay, rent to pay, cars, kids, tuitions, all these different things? Absolutely. So I look at that 4-time rate, that's sacred. I'm not going to go below that 4-time rate. And do I do it occasionally? Every now and then, a 6-page ad to an espresso stand, $2.50 cash, $50 in trade, right? Something like that. But I do not go off that 4-time rate. If somebody wants to do some trade with me, it's off my 1-time rate. I have a butcher, meat market. Is that the same thing? Meat market, butcher? This lady right here is in my magazine, a place called Kelso's Custom Meats, and it's a 3rd-page ad. 3 years ago, I charged her the 1-time rate of $5.95, rounded up to $600. I charged her $600. I told her I'd do it for half cash and half trade, just to try me out, okay? Because I needed to cover my cost of goods. So I covered my cost of goods and actually made a profit with the $300 in cash. I got $300 in trade, so my profit was a lot of meat, okay? Well, guess what? 3 years later, 2 magazines back and forth, she just keeps buying ads from me. I'm still at 300 cash, 300 trade. Eventually, I probably need to go to 400 cash, 200 trade, or do something like that. I got massive amounts of meat trade. She issues me gift certificates. I can give them to my clients as thank you gifts for Christmas, which I did this year, $25 ones. Pretty nice, huh? I was able to give some to some people at my church, my pastor, do some really neat things like that. There's some people struggling. We can help them out. That's a pretty cool thing. Got a gal now. She tells me, it was one of my customers. I brought it in. A mortgage gal. She was going through. Oh, you got Kelso's Meats in there. I go, yeah, they've been with us. She goes, I go there all the time. I said, hey, you want to buy some gift cards? So I'll sell her a $50 gift card for like $40. She's all excited. She'll save some money. And I'll turn some cash, right? So restaurants are basically important to get because it's the #1 category. What I'd recommend you do is try not to get 3 pizza, 3 Mexican, and say, I got 6. Don't fake yourself out. Look in the mirror and say, okay, what business categories in restaurant am I missing? And focus on them. Will you get them all the first issue? No. Can you potentially get them with maybe a premium position? Hey, if you can come in this issue, I got this spot for you right here. The first ad when you open up the magazine, or maybe it's the first ad on the bottom. Or I got this spot right here. You want to promote to them what they're going to get, and that page position is pretty powerful. I hope you don't just randomly throw people on your first page, your page 3 here. This is page 1, this is page 2, this is page 3. You don't just randomly throw people on here. Strategically think about who can I get on here to help close the deal, right? If you've got a restaurant here and a restaurant here and you're trying to get a little women's boutique, why not look her now and say, look, I got a spot right here in the magazine, the first right-hand page. Boom, that'll close the sale. Don't lower the price, use page position, okay? Let's go to number 4 on the vital signs, which is what restaurant categories are you missing? Mexican, pizza, sub sandwich, burger, Chinese. Try to focus on those. So it's not only, hey, I have 6 restaurants, but Jim, 3 are Mexican and 3 are pizza. Okay, that's great, but let's look at the vital sign number 4. How can we get a burger place in there? How can we get a Chinese place? How can we get a Thai place? How can we get, there's so many different variations of restaurants now. Number 5 on vital signs says, the number of new clients who have never been in before. This is critical. It's really important that you track. Like in my mind, I bet I could ask the Jameses this. In fact, I will ask the Jameses this. You guys close your eyes for a second. I'm going to tell, close your eyes for just a second. I'm going to tell my answer to Susan. Okay, open your eyes. And I'm going to ask you, how many new customers do you need to have in your magazine every single issue? Otherwise, you're going to lose it through attrition. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Hallelujah. You need 5 brand new customers every issue in your magazine, every issue who have not been in. Not a guy who was in 2 issues ago. 5 newbies every single issue, or you're going to have attrition. You're going to have people who love your magazine, and they've been with you for 5, 6 years, and all of a sudden a new guy comes in and he cuts it off. He doesn't do advertising. He doesn't do print. It's like, whoa, boom, you know, that type of a thing. So 5 new customers is another vital sign. So number 6 is your ad size breakdown. My question is this: how many 1 6-page ads are you selling? Sometimes people think 1 6-page ads are too small, you can't really say enough in them. I beg to differ. I would tell you, if you don't do this. Don't walk into someone with a Valpak lead, go in to see a merchant who's in Valpak and say, hey, I see your ad in Valpak. Looks nice. Does it work for you? Yeah, it's been good. Would you like to try our magazine? They're like, well, I like it. Maybe kind of, sort of. But instead of running my 3rd-page ad, go ahead and take my Valpak size and shrink it in half and cram it all into this sucker. they got 3 or 4 offers in their Valpak 3rd page and they want to cram it into a 6th page with me, I say, Notice, I am going to tell them no. I say, I tell you what, I'd love to have you in the magazine. Why don't you try the same size as Valpak so we have more room to say this? No, that might be over budget. I can't do it. If you can do it for $300, I'll do it. Okay, great. Of these 3 offers, pick your best one. Which one brings in the most people? Well, the half-off dinner, when you buy a dinner and you get the second at half off, then that's the one I'm going to run in my 6-page ad. Well, I want to run at least 2 of them. Nope, you're going to run 1. Do not let the tail wag the dog here. If they try to cram 3, look, I have people that are doing a 6-page ad that have 2 coupons. They're postage stamp size. You try to get 3 in there, they're way too small. So the whole point of it is, did you know that the most profitable ads in your magazine to grow your profit and your revenue are fractional space ads? 1/6, 1/4, 1/3 should be the core of your magazine. I'm almost deflated when a guy wants to run a half page. I'm like, okay, great, it filled some space, but I didn't make as much money. But then when a guy goes, hey, how much is a full page? I'm like, no, not a full page. You know, I want to sell 3/3, but occasionally it happens, and I might be lucky enough to have 1 full page in my magazine. I never pitch them. Okay, probably bad sales on my part, but so if I say, what is your ad size breakdown? You should know how many 6-page, 1/4 page, 3rd pages. And you don't have to know off the top of your head, but this is just a running little sheet that you should have to help you. Because if you look at the end product of your magazine and you had 2 6-page ads, were you a little weak in getting 6-page ads? Probably. In fact, I like 6-page ads primarily for the reason that they help break up. You know, they help break up some of the monotony, so to speak, of, you know, you don't want to have 3rd page, 3rd page, 3rd page, 3rd page, 3rd page. You want to have a couple 6-page ads in there to kind of break things up a little bit. So let's go to number 7. How many house ads did you run? Okay. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you this, but here's the question. Here's the ideal answers right down here. So number 1 was, how many total paid clients do you have? You should have around 40 if you're doing a 16-page book. Well, Jim, I only have 35. Okay, that's fine. How can we get you to 40? Because that's going to maximize your profitability. What's your total revenue per book? I want you to hit 15,000 plus. If you're not hitting that, fine, but that's your goal you need to aspire to. Restaurant count, 10. I'm sorry, I'm at 7 this issue, but I'll keep working harder. Okay, what restaurant categories are you missing? Hopefully none. Hopefully you've got one of each of those. Number 5, number of new clients who have never been in before. You want 4 to 6, I call that 5. How many cross sales ran in your book? Now, if you're in a zone, you're in a zone, you don't have any neighboring area publishers that do hometown values, you don't even know what a cross sale is, right? A cross sale is a wonderful thing if you're fortunate enough to have an AP that is in your market somewhere and they place an ad in your magazine. Again, I don't have a problem with accepting some cross sales. In the perfect world, it says here, how many cross sales ran in your book? It says, you know, maybe 2 to 4. I think that's reasonable. Do you guys think that's reasonable? Thank you. How many sales calls do you make each day? And again, everybody's different. Of course, I'm going to set a high bar. What if I came out and says, hey, you can do this business. You can build it if you make 10 calls a day. Well, you can't. Okay? I'd like to tell you that if you make around 20 in-person sales visits, sales calls, I call them, it's the 24-in-1. You'll see it in the Area Publisher wall calendar. It's on every single page of the Area Publisher wall calendar. It says 24-1. 20 sales calls, 4 presentations, 1 sale. What's a presentation? When the guy says how much and he's a decision maker, that's a presentation. Okay? So for a 15,000 mailing zone, you want to target 15,000 in revenue. For a 30K mailing zone, you want to target 20,000 in revenue. 20 calls a day, 4 presentations, 1 contract. It's real key if you start understanding your vital signs. Over time, I can look at the profile, the complexion of my magazine, and just looking through it, and I count up my restaurants throughout the cycle. Jim, dude, you've only got 4 restaurants. Okay, what do I need to do to get some restaurants? Do I have any pages in my magazine? Give you an example. This ad right here for a Mongolian grill, that came because I had a guy placed in that position that really didn't need to be there. I moved him to another position with my sticky note on my little mock-up, and so I knew I had that spot open. So I call this dude up and go, hey, look. And by the way, here's a great line. Write this down, memorize this. I could have 3 weeks left in my sales cycle, and here's my language. I call the guy up, his name's Brian. I said, Brian, I'm putting the finishing touches on my magazine right now. That's the line. I'm putting the finishing touches on my magazine right now. Notice it wasn't low-level begging saying, Brian, I had a guy just cancel on me. In fact, I had 3 people cancel on me. And I got space. Do you want to come in? In fact, I'll pay you to run an ad. And that's low-level begging, right? I use the positioning of basically, hey, I'm putting the finishing touches on the magazine. You know that very first right-hand page when you open up the magazine? I've got a third of a page down there that's wide open. Be perfect for your ad. If we can do business today, I'll put you there at no extra charge. That's what I told him. Like, there's an extra charge on page 3? There's not. But he's not looking at my rate card. He's just picking up the phone, taking a call from a vendor. I said, it's the first right-hand page. I'll put you there at no extra charge. That sound good? No extra charge. Was there an extra charge? No, there's no extra charge. That's why I'm not going to charge him extra, right? I'm just putting there no extra charge. Okay? So, but he's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So what I do on something like that evening, I'll email him his ad. Because it was a phone call, I don't have a written contract. I'm big on making sure where there's no gray area. I'll type it out. Hey, Brian, thanks for your time today. Excited to have you in the next Monroe edition. Comes out January 27, 28, 29. Mails to 15,000 homes. I'm putting your third page ad on the first right-hand page at the bottom for $446. Please take a look at the proof and approve it, and we're good to go. And he comes back and he says, looks good. There's my contract with him. I print it off. I put it in my little manila folder for the guy, and away we go. So bottom line is this. Vital signs are critical to your business. Doctors know the vital signs of heart rate and blood pressure and all of these different things. It's important for you as an area publisher with Hometown Values to understand your vital signs. Understand if somebody called you up the second week of your sales cycle, the third week of your sales cycle, the fourth week of your sales cycle and says, let me ask you a question. What's your revenue? How many restaurants do you have? And what's your profit? You should be able to have a pretty good understanding of how all of that works. So with that, I thank you for your time.